To call this meeting of the West Haymarket JPA to order. To my right is UNL Regent Tim Clare, NU Regent Tim Clare, and City Councilman Tom Beckius to my left. This is a public meeting subject to the rules of the Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is posted in the back of the chamber. The order of business will be that we will have the clerk, Casey, read out each item, and the staff related to that item will come forward to present, after which we will take public comment, and anyone wishing to provide public comment, if you could please state your name and address and note that you'll have 5 minutes to make your remarks. We would be grateful for that. And with that, Casey, please call the first item.
Item 3, approval of the minutes from the JPA meeting held January 23rd, 2025.
Move approval. Second.
Moved by Claire, seconded by Beckius. Any discussion or corrections to the minutes? Okay, please call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 4, approval of the payment register for November 2024 through March 2025, and review of the expenditure reports as of March 31st, 2025.
All right, good afternoon. I am going to need some assistance, Casey, with the projector. I have not used that before. Do I just?
I think you just place it up there, yeah, and it should come on.
Oh. I am
Magic.
not going to need any assistance.
Magic projector, Joe.
But I can figure that out. Okay.
And while we all know who you are, why don't you, for the record, share your
sorry.
identification?
Yes, I am the City Finance Director and the Treasurer of the West Haymarket JPA. So in your supplemental material today, you'll see a payment register and an expenditure report. This is really my first, technically my second time going through this, so I'm trying some new things and trying some handouts. The first time I went through it, I had been on the job for 2 days, and I didn't feel like that was the way I wanted to keep doing it. So bear with me, I'm going to try out some handouts today. So to start things off,
See if there's a way to improve. It's sort of hard to read.
the resolution is made for,
Here's a button on there, Chris, to
switches it to landscape.
Or Zoom.
go zoom.
Oh, the zoom button, yeah.
Maybe wrong way.
Other zoom.
There.
Okay, so the payment register report included in the packet is really a comprehensive list of all the vendors we paid during the time period. This just gives a breakout of all those payments, kind of the percentage of the total payments and an idea of what they were for. So I'll run through some of these bigger items here. Primarily, and the biggest payment that you'll see in the report was our debt payments. Debt service payments were made in December for both the principal and interest obligations of our West Haymarket JPA debt. Principal was 45.2%, and then interest represented 29.2% of the total payments. You'll also see in there we have payments to the District Energy Corporation for utilities for the facility. That represented $1.3 million, or about 5.8% of the total. And I have a column there for the associated revenue with that. So any items where we have some associated revenue that kind of offset those payments, I've noted that there. So the DEC payments, we bill back services to customers that are also within the DEC, and we recoup some of that to the West Haymarket JPA. Other items included in there, you'll see our first payment on the replacement for the scoreboard was made during this time period. Some payments to the City of Lincoln for parking, payments to Pinnacle Bank Arena for repair and maintenance, for sponsorship, and for some other items. The operating increment is in there. You'll see the payment to ASM Global for their performance-based payment from the last fiscal year. And then finishing things out, I don't want to read every single item here, so the rest of the expenditures were really budgeted equipment and operating expenses that have been previously approved and represent about 2 to 3% of the remaining total. And then the last item I have there, that all other items, that's anything that wasn't in the payment memo. Oh, I'm sorry about that. in the all other items, that's anything that was in the payment memo that was not in the payment memo that I sent to the board earlier this week. So another page I put in here, that's really those broad categories that I just went over from the payment register. So if you want an idea of what type of stuff did we buy or spend our money on during that time period, here's a graphical presentation of what those payments were for. So about 75% for debt service, facility improvements, 6%, and then the remaining 20% for some various other uses included in this representation. So that is my presentation on the payment register. Do you want me to pause there or go to the expenditure report?
So with the payment that you made, with the payment that you made of the $16,800,000 for the bonds with principal and interest, we are current with our principal and interest payment obligations with the bonds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And on the monies that we gave back or paid back to, for example, Pinnacle Bank Arena, that was per contract, an agreement on how we're going to divide some of the revenues, right?
For some of the payments, for the sponsorship payments and the operating agreement, those are transfers and how we would divide the revenue.
Per the agreement between the parties from the
correct.
outset. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, that's all I got.
All right.
Thank you, Regent Claire. Any questions, Councilmember Beckius? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do you want me to cover the expenditure report
Oh.
as well? I think
Yes.
Tim does.
Thank you.
Okay. So for the expenditure report, so I kind of noted in here, let me make sure I'm lined up. That looks pretty good. So on the expenditure report, I've referenced the pages within the supplemental packet of where I'm kind of highlighting a few things. So on pages 13 and 14, there's an operating expenditure report included in the packet. And what that does is it divides out some of the major categories of expenditures for the fiscal year to date. So as a summary of where we are to date, you'll see in there I have the budgeted amounts that are available on that report, kind of summarized more concisely, and then what we've spent year to date, and then what's remaining in our budget. So main points I'd make here, the debt services, that reflects our principal and interest payment in December, which includes bond interest payments. The bond interest payments will be made in June, and that's an interest-only payment, and that'll fully meet our obligations for the fiscal year. So we pay principal and interest in December, and then we pay an interest-only payment in June. Other services and charges, that category includes really anything other than the debt service and capital outlays and material and supplies. So it really includes all other operating and non-operating expenses. And then one thing that I think is useful to note is at the end of March, we were 58.3% of the fiscal year, the way through our fiscal year. So 7/12, we went through 7 months of the 12-month period. And we've spent 53.3% of our budget in the materials, in the other services and charges category. So that tells me we're in a good position to meet our obligations for day-to-day cost in our budget plan for the fiscal year for really all of these categories. All right. And I have one more page, if you'll bear with me. I don't know how much time I'm supposed to take here, so I will get a better handle on that as I get a little more comfortable with this. So page 15 in the report, that was really the statement of revenues and expenditures. Just a couple of things to highlight there. Our cash balance at the beginning of the fiscal year was $51.5 million, and it is $58.7 million as of March 31st. Represents a reduction of about $2.8 million, and that's really in line with our budget and what our plan is for capital improvements in the fiscal year. Page 16 of the report was an income statement from Pinnacle Bank Arena, and just a couple of things to highlight there. Net income is just a little bit under plan. Expenses have been managed well, so we've had some positive variance there, and some unfavorable variance just in some of the revenue on Pinnacle Bank Arena. And then the last thing I'd note is page 17 is the occupation tax update that's included with the supplemental. So the occupation taxes, they're on track with budget. We've collected $13.2 million compared to a budget of just about the same of $13.3 million. And that's a 3.8% increase from the prior year. And one thing of note with those occupation tax collection amounts, those are well above the original projections that were made when we conceived the Pinnacle Bank Arena in the West Haymarket JPA. We originally projected that we would collect $15,600,000 in the current year, and we're now at a level that we originally contemplated we'd be at by 2044. So we're well ahead of that schedule. So, right.
Do your numbers take into account what we're contemplating approving today as far as expenses go?
Yes, they do. So everything we're approving today was considered in the budget. So
I mean, is that in these figures that you're representing today?
Yes, it's in the figures that we're representing today. They don't necessarily exactly point to that question. They don't show you an end-of-year cash balance, but all of these expenditures were contemplated in the budget, and we still project to be at an end-of-year cash balance of about $41.5 million, which was what was in our approved budget.
Okay. So last year, we had a situation where I think the analysis was made of if we didn't collect another dime of occupation tax, we could pay last year's debt plus interest on the bond payments, plus this year's debt plus interest payments, and still, we had plenty of money to pay it. Now, obviously, that's not going to happen with respect to the occupation tax, and we're hoping that our friends from out at our new baseball park can help with that as well. But pretend that there's no other revenues. Or will we be able? Would we have enough money to be able to pay next year's bond plus interest payment, or the next bond and interest payments?
Yes, doing that exercise, I'd say yes. Our current cash balance is right around $49 million, and our annual principal and interest bond obligations are $23 million. So we'd almost have enough we'd have enough to pay it twice over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions for Joe? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, if anyone would like to come forward and speak on these items, we would take public comment. All right, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion on the payment register and expenditure reports.
Move approval of the payment register.
Just the payment register?
The only one we need. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yes, approval.
Yep.
All right. Second.
Okay. Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. The next item 5, bill number WH25-11, resolution approving a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and AXS Digital DBA Carbon House for Pinnacle Bank Arena and Pinewood Bowl Theater website redesign with cost not to exceed $80,000.
Good afternoon, Chris Connolly, City Law Department. The original website design has not been updated or completely redone since really the beginning. And so this will be the first effort at redoing the entire website for both PBA and for Pinewood Bowl. And so there was an RFP that went out, and AXS Digital was deemed to be the best proposal. They are the ones that currently host or operate our website anyway, and so there should be a lot of symmetry there. Shouldn't be hard to reconstruct it. And if anyone has any questions on some of the technical aspects, we do have Tim Savona here who can help with that. Otherwise, we would ask for approval.
Any questions for Chris?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. At this time, anyone wishing to speak on this item could please come forward. All right, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion on item 5.
Move approval for the contract with AXS Digital.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 6, bill number WH25-12, resolution authorizing the chairperson and/or purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Voss Lighting for event-level hallway lighting at the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a sum not to exceed $58,898.
So items 6 and 7 on the agenda are related to each other. So number 6 is actual purchase of lighting. This is for the back hallway near the dressing rooms and the locker rooms. It will take out current fluorescent lights and replace it with LED lighting. But it will also be done in a manner such that the lighting will be on the ceiling as opposed to just on the walls. And it will sort of dress up the hallways back there and give it a better ambiance, if you will. And it's a project that's been considered for a number of years, and so management decided to go ahead and do that at this time. And again, this is just for the purchase of the equipment. Number 7 we'll talk about as installation. But otherwise, we would ask for approval.
Any questions?
Are you going to do 6 and 12 and 25-12 and 25-13 together? Or are you doing 6
You know,
first?
They were not
and-
called
They weren't
together.
called together, so I
Right,
guess
so you're just doing 6
Yeah.
first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you want to comment on this one? No? Okay.
Nope.
Entertain a motion on item 6. Oh, sorry. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Seeing none.
None, Madam Chair, I would move approval.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, second by Claire. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 7, bill number WH25-13, resolution approving a unit price contract with Wired Inc. for installation of the event-level hallway light fixtures at the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a total amount not to exceed $32,900.
And again, so this is just the installation of the lights we were just talking about, and this is off of a unit price contract that the city makes available for PBA, and they were the low bid on that. And so we would ask approval.
Okay. Did you have a question?
No, I was just going to make the comment, my office has done work for Wired Inc., and, but I talked with Chris Conley about it, and he did not see any conflicts on that. 'Cause
There was no
there was nothing in
representation
connection with
on this matter.
Okay. Thank you for that. All right. I don't think we have any questions. Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to this item?
Seeing no one, Madam Chair, I'd move approval.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, second by Claire. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 8, bill number WH25-14, resolution approving a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Amano McGann, Inc. for parking garage gate reader technology updates at the Pinnacle Bank Arena with cost not to exceed $51,291.50.
This is revenue equipment for the parking garage that's attached to PBA. The rest of all the other parking garages in the city use this same equipment and use a mono Magan for their equipment. And so it made sense to get some equipment that would be able to tie in with the rest of the system. And so this would be like the gate and the reader and everything as you're going into the parking garage. And so we would ask approval.
Any comments or questions for Chris? Okay. All right, thank you. We would take public comment on this item.
See no one come forward, I'd move approval.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, second by Claire. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 9, bill number WH 25-15, resolution approving an amendment to contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Irwin Seating Company for an extension of the contract to June 1st, 2025.
So last year, Irwin Seating Company was given a contract to make repairs and updates on some seats. And they needed a little more time to get that done. Going into the kind of season that we were, I think management felt like that this was a good opportunity to extend it. We weren't in a super rush where we needed to have everything done on time. And so there's no new money in this request. It's just simply an extension of the current agreement to June 1st. And so we would ask approval.
Any questions? I have one quick question. You mentioned that it's merely a time extension, correct? No additional cost?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to come forward and speak to this item?
Madam Chair, I'd move approval of 2515.
I'll second.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion? All right, please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 10, bill number WH 25-16, resolution authorizing the chair and/or purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Lincoln Winlectric for parking lot light fixture retrofit kit replacement at the Pinnacle Bank Arena for a sum not to exceed $30,206.
So gates 1, 2, 3, and 4 that surround Pinnacle Bank Arena are older units. They're starting to fail. A couple of them need to have the units replaced. And so this would be repair and replacement of those lights and upgrading them to LED lights. And so we would ask approval.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Would anyone like to come forward and comment on item 25-16? Right.
Seeing no one, I move approval of 25-16.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 11, bill number WH 25-17, resolution authorizing the chairperson and/or purchasing agent to issue a purchase order to Chef's Deal Restaurant Equipment Company for 2 fryer units for the Pinnacle Bank Arena concessions for a sum not to exceed $57,827.63.
This is for replacement of 2 fryer units. It's not just, as I was told yesterday, it's not just individual bays. It's 2 whole units which would have multiple actual fryers in them. I'm not sure how many there are total, 8, I think. So anyway, this is older equipment, needed replacement, and so we would ask for approval.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Okay, seeing none, entertain a motion.
Move approval, 25-17.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I hope Charlie thinks it's a good price.
I think it's an important,
He would
important piece of
know.
equipment for, you know how essential this is. All right, please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 12, bill number WH 25-18, resolution to approve amendment number 2 to the Canopy Park Project redevelopment agreement between the City of Lincoln, Nebraska, West Haymarket Joint Public Agency, Canopy Park, and the Lincoln Haymarket Development Corporation.
Tim C., Assistant City Attorney, 555 South 10th Street. What you have in front of you is amendment number 2 to a redevelopment agreement entered into between the city, the JPA, and the developer. Initially in 2019, there was an amendment in 2020 as there was some restructuring with that project, and then this is a amendment number 2. As the project went along, there was a mention in the redevelopment agreement of the 7th and N Plaza along the south side of N Street. That is no longer part of the South Haymarket Park project, and so we've simply taken the references to that out of this agreement, and there was some tax increment financing proceeds that were going to go towards that improvement. Those have been reallocated. Again, that's largely between the city and the developer at this point. As far as the JPA's obligations, they have not changed. The commitment in here from the JPA is the same as it was initially. The sale of the property was part of that. That's been completed, and as you can see, the project is complete at this point. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions? Okay. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
Would anyone like to testify on this item? All right. Seeing none.
Move approval of 25-18.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion? All right. Please call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 13, bill number WH 25-19, resolution approving Amendment 1 to contract between the West Haymarket JPA and Mitsubishi Electric to add an additional scorer's table to the new center hung scoreboard package for the Pinnacle Bank Arena for an amount not to exceed $80,181, bringing the total cost not to exceed to $3,442,919 pursuant to bid number 24-203.
Okay, so this is related, of course, to the scoreboard package, and when the original project was begun, the scores table where the official scoring is done, there was a table included, and it has capability of doing some graphics on the front of it. But this table was not included. It's on the other side of the floor, and management felt like it was important to include this table to sort of match what is on the other side, so that it can provide the same kind of a look. You're going to have a brand new scoreboard, new scorers table on one side, but the other side was going to have an older table that apparently is not in great shape anymore. Probably still functional, but not in great shape. In any event, the request here is to go ahead and add this new scoring table that would then match the scoring table on the other side. We would ask approval.
Chris, can you describe just a little bit of the functionality increase that we're getting in the display of the new table?
Yeah, the exact things that would be described on there, I'm not sure of. I don't know that there's going to be advertisements, but there would be maybe some red ends or some flashing images of some kind. I don't know, Tim, Tim can probably describe a little more about what would actually
Sure,
be on
just so
there.
people can have an understanding about the enhancement that we're talking about.
Right.
How you doing? Tim Sabona, Pinnacle Bank Arena. The current board is a flat sign, so picture just a banner that, sticker on the wall, so to speak. The new one proposed is a full video digital capability, so it would be able to do anything animated, anything video, high def, maybe advertisements. Not sure if they'll use it for that. Crowd interaction, but basically it turns into a high def television instead of a flat banner as it is today.
Yeah,
That's
perfect. Thank you for the description. Just wanted folks out there to understand the enhancement that's being proposed.
Right.
And Chris, you said this is already existing on one side of the arena. This way, fans, no matter where you're sitting, will be able to probably view this screen.
The fans on
the
that are
opposite side.
of it will be able to see it, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? All right. Would anyone else like to testify on this item?
I move approval of 25-19.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, seconded by Claire. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, Casey, please call the roll.
Beckius?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Gaylor Baird?
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 14, bill number WH25-20, resolution approving a contract between the West Haymarket JPA and 5 Nines for the purchase and installation of new Wi-Fi system and support services at the Pinnacle Bank Arena with cost not to exceed $3,721,891.
When the new scoreboard decision was made to go ahead and put the new scoreboard in, it seemed to make sense to also redo the Wi-Fi system, which has been in serious need of upgrading and replacement for many years. It's been unreliable, and it's had all kinds of problems, and so an RFP was done to look for proposals and a design that would be much more efficient, better coverage throughout the building. And 5 Nines, who's the current operator of the Wi-Fi system, brought forth the best proposal. While there was initial discussion of this being a lease, through some discussions and review of some of the documentation, it was determined that the best route to pay for this really was through a structured cash payment, where there will be approximately $2 million will be paid shortly after approval, if approved, and then some additional monies paid in September into the new fiscal year, and a final payment at the end of construction or installation. And that would be similar to other projects where equipment or construction work has been done. In so doing, we would save a lot of money on interest payments on a lease. And we will have the system fully installed at about the same time as the scoreboard is being put in. So while the building's down, they'll be able to install the APCs and all the equipment that goes along with this new Wi-Fi system at that time, when we should have it up and operating in August. And so we would ask approval for the purchase.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Oh, and one other thing I should comment on. There's the purchase of the equipment and the installation, but there's also a maintenance and operating agreement that will actually be brought forward at the August meeting. That is technically being separated out. The purchase price that you see there still reflects the purchase, but the operating agreement was originally being put in. That's been moved aside and will be handled at the August meeting.
So the
for
number,
approval.
So the number here does not include the 5,900 or what have you that is proposed for operating for the next 5 years?
That is correct.
So it does not include it?
It does not include that. That is not correct? Oh, come on up, Tim. You might want to verify that. This was a discussion that we were having in the last just several days on this.
Yes, sorry, you are correct. The item at the table today is the purchase and installation of the equipment.
Okay.
The item at the table tomorrow, so to speak, will be for the management services, day-to-day operation and business, which, by the way, we have one of those today, and we have always had one of those.
Right.
So the one that will come forth at the next meeting is essentially a replacement of that current item. But add today and add tomorrow, they are not one and the same, they're separate.
Okay, so in totality, we're really looking at something closer to 4 million as opposed to 3.7.
That's correct, but the other piece is something that's part of our annual business every year and has been part of our, so we're going to have that regardless of this project, I guess I would say.
Questions? I want to just ask about the financing. In the past, did we lease the scoreboard and now we are purchasing? Do I understand that correctly? And we are saving money on in interest because we're purchasing?
I don't know how the original Wi-Fi system, which is what we have currently, I believe was paid just out of the bond.
I'm sorry,
revenues.
Wi-Fi system.
Yeah, it was the original equipment. The same thing with the scoreboard. And so the scoreboard is being paid for with cash, and so now the Wi-Fi system would
My
be paid.
apologies, I should have mentioned the scoreboard. But with the Wi-Fi system, I have in my notes from a conversation we had about this, that this purchase is going to save $751,000 in interest over 5 years. Is that
correct? Because we're not going to do the lease. That is correct.
That's what I wanted to get on the record.
Yes.
Thank you.
If I could add just one more item. We commonly refer to it as a Wi-Fi system. It is much more than that. It's a complete network system refresh. The Wi-Fi is just the most commonly referenced piece because it's so forward-facing, but the entire infrastructure of the arena's guts are being replaced and substituted and modernized beyond just Wi-Fi experience. So our ability to bring in more internet, more bandwidth, more speed for television, for events, also for Wi-Fi, all things are impacted by this project.
So we'll be able to text our friends from a concert now?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Let's get the important stuff out in the open. All right.
So it's kind of a Wi-Fi transplant.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions?
No.
Okay.
No.
Would anyone else like to speak to this item? All right. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move approval of 25-20.
Second.
Moved by Beckius, second by Claire. Any further discussion? All right. Please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes.
Motion carried 3-0. Next, item 15, informative update on the Sandhills Global Lincoln Youth Complex ball fields.
Men in matching quarter zips are here at your service today.
Logoed quarter
Logoed,
as well. Looking
logoed
good.
quarter zips. Good afternoon, Jeff Mall, Executive Director with Visit Lincoln, also Vice Chair of the Board of the Sandhills Global Youth Complex. Joined today by Joe Fagler. I'll give him a chance to introduce himself. We also have Joel Peterson, Don Hers, and our Board Chair, Charlie Colon, as well. So if there are questions we cannot answer, those gentlemen will support us, much the way batters 3, 4, and 5 do in a baseball and softball lineup.
Cute.
Thanks. Thanks, Tim.
I got you. I followed you.
We definitely want to give you an update today on an amazing grand opening that we had on Saturday. Also get you up to date on kind of where the numbers are today. So I will kick that over to Joe, and I'll come in on the backside with some economic impact figures as well.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Joe Fagler, the Executive Director of the Sandhills Global Youth Complex, and we are 100% operational right now. We've had over 250 games, probably about 300 practices so far. So we are going every night of the week, and it's been pretty exciting. This Saturday we had our grand opening. It was, from all accounts, from all the people I've talked to, it was a great event. We had just a ton of excitement from it. The feedback on social media and texts and emails has been great, and the excitement is really, really high for us right now. So it's been really good. Just a quick update on some operations of our complex. We have a league out there during the week with over 500 games with local baseball players. We're working on softball. We didn't get them this year, but we're working on it for next year. But Tuesday through Thursday nights, we're averaging about 500 to 600 people out there a night, buying concessions, coming through our gates, enjoying the park. Kids are loving it. We played through, I think it was last Thursday night when we got 1.3 inches of rain, and we played 14 games that night. Parents were kind of questioning it, but I said that's who we are. We have turf, and we're going to keep playing. So as long as there's not lightning and dangerous conditions, we're playing ball. So it just gives those kids extra opportunities to play. And the parents were probably miserable sitting there watching it, but the kids were loving it, sliding around in the wet grass and everything, so out between the fields. So it was great.
Have you noticed air's down because there's no loose rocks or clods?
The quality of the games is definitely improved because of you get true hops, and
No
kids
bad
can
hops.
make plays, and they don't have a ball bouncing over their head or something like that. So it's been amazing. Weekdays we have the league in there, plus the Babe Ruth League comes in Monday nights. So our Monday through Thursdays are really full. On the weekends we have tournaments. Right now we have 17 tournaments booked, April 1st through the end of July. We're averaging about 2,000 people through the gates each weekend. We're seeing, as school gets out, we start seeing more teams traveling. Right now it's pretty local, just people don't want to travel during the school season. But we've already had multiple out-of-state teams come in, and so far committed teams, we're over 120 teams from outside of 90 miles, so I consider that like a hotel stay range. Outside of 90 miles, most people will stay. So we're 120 teams, and we're still building the summer out and expect many more. So just a quick, Texas, Virginia, California, Idaho, Washington, Oregon. So we're seeing teams from both coasts, north, south, Minnesota, North Dakota. We're seeing teams from everywhere. So that should make for a real exciting summer and give people a chance to experience Lincoln and stay a weekend and see what we have to offer. So it's been awesome. Our all-accessible field and playground has been a huge hit so far. The top field there is our all-accessible field, so everything's painted on, wheelchair access. Been really cool. We have a Special Olympics state tournament coming in August, which we're really excited about. We have a special event with the Homer's Heroes program coming up where we're going to get all their kids out there and show them the park and play. And, when we're not using that field, it becomes just kids take wiffle balls out there during their brothers and sisters playing, and I say they get to play the way it's supposed to be played without coaches and parents around. They just go out there and have fun like the game's designed to be played. So we have the Playground 2 for them, which has been a huge hit, an all-accessible playground, so everything's wheelchair accessible, and been really, really enjoyed by the kids. And, yeah, that's about for, high-level view of operations right now. So things are going well, and we're excited.
I don't know if you guys have any questions for Joe about that day, but it was, I can't even tell you the range of emotions that we all felt, and the excitement, the tears, just the jubilation. When you looked around, the people that were there that backed this project and pulled together for this project, it was probably something I haven't seen in this community in a long time. All the right people were in the right places, and thanks to you all with the JPA, as well as your roles with city government for your support of this project. The most moving moment for me was a young man by the name of Dathan Cooper, a gentleman, a little kid that's grown up in a wheelchair, just a very passionate young man about the sport of baseball, was the third to throw out one of our ceremonial first pitches. And for that young man to throw a pitch to Alex Gordon was something magical, especially he didn't know he was throwing to Alex Gordon. Mm-hmm. And we put Alex behind the plate, and Dathan threw a strike. It was right down the middle and snapped it, and just an emotional moment for everybody involved. And Mayor, thank you so much for being there and being a part of our opportunity to celebrate. So a lot of fun happened that day. And kudos to Joe. Joe, when we talk about the economics, has met and exceeded all of our expectations as far as bookings. This thing was originally a $9 million economic impact project according to our feasibility studies very early on. We're now looking at $15 to $20 million of economic activity coming into this community in its first 12 months. And that growth is primarily associated with his ability to book every possible space in this complex, to play 14 games when everything else was too wet to play on, and just really look at baseball and softball unlike we've ever done in this community. So the numbers are coming together well. I will tell you that what happened on Saturday was in addition to the Husker games over on UNL's campus. The activity in the Haymarket between boys and girls in baseball and softball uniforms and Husker red was amazing. So this complements our existing economic impact in this community. So I do want to touch on three numbers really quick, and we'll be happy to answer any questions if there are other things for members of the board. Our economic impact numbers are solely from regional and in-state visitors to the complex will spend on average $350 per night per travel party. So that's per player in the family that comes in. $350 when they're from regional and in-state. If we draw national tournaments in, that's $375 per night per travel party spent in restaurants, retail, hotels, and the lodging tax and sales tax that comes along with that is what we call broadening of the tax base. And these are new tax dollars coming into this community. So as a guy in tourism, a guy that's been an advocate for this community for so long as a destination, this makes our job a lot easier. We now go to trade shows. Just left a trade show a month ago. We had 15 organizations from across the country that have never been able to consider Lincoln, Nebraska before that want to be here and want to be on Joe's calendar. So again, huge success story at First and Cornhusker. Happy to answer any questions.
How many tournaments you got scheduled for this summer?
There's 17 currently for the summer. Yeah, that
teams on average.
There's usually 40 to 50 teams on average at each tournament.
About that math.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How many rooms does that equate to? And they're 3 nights, 2-3 nights.
2-3 nights. Yeah, some are more like 2 or 3 nights. School year, more 1 or 2. Yeah, based on travel schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just outstanding revenue that goes to the bottom line for the occupation tax.
Yeah, and we're working really hard too with Joe and his team to build what we call shoulder dates, get them in a day early and get them to stay a day late, experience the community. We want them down in South Point, we want them in the Haymarket, we want them in East Lincoln, we want them seeing our attractions. So everybody is just looking at Lincoln as this whole new canvas of opportunities. So that's our job right now, is to try to sell those shoulder dates.
So Jeff, to that point, when you guys go out and sell tournament weekends, what have you, does the end user, does a parent get something physically in their hand about the Haymarket, or you should eat here, or here's South Point, or something like that, so that they're oriented, or are we directing parents, teams to certain hotels, so on and so forth?
Yeah, we're going to sit down actually with Joe and Tom. Actually, we reached out to them this morning. We want to build out the Sand Hills Global Youth Complex website to be a little bit more inclusive of everything tourism-wise in the community. Places to stay, things to do, and make sure that happens here. Tom, we've talked about what we can do in the complex with a QR code about looking for things to do in Lincoln when you're standing at the concession stand and you scan that QR code. So there are a lot of things. We're kind of a project in moving as a board, but also with our role with what we do with Joe's. So we're going to do everything we can with that. Always the assumption is in tourism, people are going to find a way to figure out something about your community. But I learned a long time ago, unless you take it to them, they won't engage in the things that you want them to. And they're going to get out of town as soon as they can on Saturday night and not come back until next summer. So we're going to do everything we can to create that engagement. Tom, I don't know, or Joe, if you want to add anything to that.
Yeah, we Visit Lincoln put together some awesome welcome type bags, gift bags for all the out of town teams that we have in, that includes local shops, stores, everything like that. Come in, free coffee, something like that. So in our website, our QR codes we talk about, we have this QR code plastered everywhere, and it's going to take it to a landing page on our website with attractions and restaurants and hotels and everything like that.
That's awesome. I want them to become addicted to Lincoln, so
I love it.
Keep coming back.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Thank you for
And the university.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Yes, and the university, of course. So thank you for creating that welcoming packet, if you will, to make sure that folks get the broader experience of Lincoln, in addition to the primary reason why they're visiting our community as well.
You have one chance.
Yeah.
And if you don't do it the first time, you're not going to get a chance to do it again. So.
And then Jeff, would you also be so kind to send to us the information at the economic information that you have shared?
Yeah.
I don't think I've received it, at least, so I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I can get that over to y'all.
Thank you.
And Tim, sorry, to your point, there's been multiple organizations that have asked me, how do we build around a Husker event, you know, a football game, a softball game, a baseball game, and build weekends around that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely a thing on people's mind, and people want to come to Lincoln to experience all that. So
Well, there's a lot of great partnering opportunities beyond what there is already, right?
yeah, for sure. This weekend for our grand opening, the university let us play at Haymarket Park and Bowling Stadium. So those kids got to play on the baseball field and on the softball field, which was amazing.
For Alex Gordon's kids to play on the field that he played college baseball was, you can't replace that. That was an amazing opportunity for his family.
Fantastic. The park is just, you know, we've been talking about this since 2011, I believe, before the vote.
Right.
And then to see it come to fruition is something that I think is so amazing for this community, so amazing for your work and the work of lots of other people, because it far exceeded what I anticipated it to be like and look like, and I just kudos to everybody involved. I can't single out one person. Everybody. They just did a tremendous job, and it's going to be a great resource for our community.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, the realization of the vision is finally, it's here, and it was just palpably exciting. There were cheers happening in the background of the ceremonies. There were bats cracking in the batting cages. There were kids playing on this wonderful playground. It was really wonderful to see it all come to life. And it is why this board has invested so many resources in helping to lift this project from the public side And we're so grateful to the private sector efforts and the philanthropic efforts and to your operational efforts day in and day out. Thank you for taking on this role and for your volunteer service. It couldn't do it without you and everything that both of you have done.
Thank you.
One of the, and the economic impact numbers are really phenomenal, exceeding our expectations and again, affirming the decision to invest. When we contemplated this and when we had the discussions about the JPA playing a significant role, we talked about the ball fields needing to serve everyone, and a big selling point to the community was not only the opportunity for children of all abilities, but also children who don't have the opportunity to play select ball. Can you tell us a little bit about what's scheduled for kids in our community who may not be on a select team and how they will be able to utilize the fields? Maybe update us a little bit on Wesleyan and how that's going since it's their home field. And last but not least, I heard you say something about no softball, and I know there was some softball. Can you clarify the plan to ensure softball is accessing the fields?
Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, to start with the role with the camps and clinics we're doing, community outreach, things like that, in partnership with Nebraska Wesleyan has been amazing. So our team, the Nebraska Wesleyan team, is working with the community learning centers in town to set up. I think they've got 4 dates on the calendar for the summer where it's going to be a free camp where they bring their kids in. We'll do a camp for them. We'll feed them lunch. So those will be amazing days where those kids will have access. Wesleyan is providing, I believe, a glove, a T-shirt, and maybe one other thing to every kid that participates. So they'll get to go home with those things, which will be,
NIL.
NIL deal. Yeah, so they can continue at home and play catch in the front yard and, develop a love for it by playing catch and doing those things. As far as, just non-select, the Babe Ruth League's more of a recreational league that we have out there, which is a great opportunity for more kids to get out there of all levels. And they've been out there 2 nights already. They're out there every Monday night, and they've had two days, and they are ecstatic to be out there, and that's been a really good thing. The softball, at the beginning of the year, when we mapped out our tournaments, we had 9 baseball tournaments and 7 softball tournaments, and we're feeling super good about that. 3 of the softball tournaments had to cancel, and they just couldn't get it together, couldn't get enough teams in, so we had to film with baseball. So this year we are a little baseball heavy, but we are in the process of making a hire, and we are going hard after softball next year because we want those numbers to be really comparable between baseball and softball. So that is number 1 on our agenda, is to get softball, more softball out there. We tried to form a league with them just like we did baseball last year. It didn't work out, but now we've had a lot of teams out there and they've seen it. So I think the hunger for it is a lot greater now. So I think in the 2026 year, we're going to make a lot of strides with softball, and that's definitely number 1 on our list to do.
And that's one of the things, too, that we're probably getting the most interest from nationally is softball. There are collegiate affiliated, high school affiliated, but also Team USA affiliated type softball competitions and tournaments that we want to do. And in fact, probably in our top 5 is something that is affiliated with USA softball. And that is a big step for this community to do that. Couldn't have done it without this ballpark and what's happening. The interest in the complex as a multi-purpose facility was key in our construction. Flat surfaced, portable mounds, so you could play both baseball and softball and create that equitable opportunity for our community. Touching on the Nebraska Wesleyan, I'd like to think that the best start in Nebraska Wesleyan baseball history happened this year. I think it had a little bit to do with the complex. Joe, I don't know if we can hang our hat on that, but Coach Christie has done a great job with the program, and Coach Iori's doing a great job with the softball program, so we're excited about that. But teaching the kids to play the game, the mental health crisis coming out of the pandemic was greater than ever in our youth. You boxed them up, you gave them portable devices, and they didn't find use for one another in physical activity. We spent so much time taking a look at health studies from across the country about the mental health crisis. That drove our programming model to create these opportunities for kids and teach them the game, give them the game, probably more than anything, and go home and get excited about it and get on a team and be involved. So I think that programming model by day, Mayor, will only increase giving these kids an opportunity as we swing our gates open to learn the game. I want to be out there. I want to be a part of it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You mentioned the 4 camps that Wesleyan's doing with kids from CLCs. Is that a week-long camp, or is that a day camp, or what does that look like, and what's
Yeah, I believe it, right now it's just I think it's on a Monday, every Monday through June right now, once school gets out, is their plan. And like Jeff said, these things are just going to expand as we go on. This is just a starting point for them. We want to be busy. We want to be busy out there all the time, daytime, nighttime. So we want these camps. We're gonna reach out. I've had talks with the Boys and Girls Club. There's the Malone Center, other places that we've talked to that they will keep expanding.
Yeah.
We're starting right now with the 4, but it'll get bigger and better for sure.
great? Look forward to it.
Yeah, there's some kids that live right across the street north of Cornhusker Highway that have watched this facility be built, and they are ready to play ball. I can promise you that.
Well, I would
we-
say that to your point, Councilman, about welcoming people to Lincoln, this facility is a welcome to Lincoln. So many folks have commented on what it's like to drive from the airport, or, to come down
I can't wait
towards
to
the city.
fly over it coming
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
Lincoln.
Yeah,
Night. That would
Yeah.
be fun.
I need a picture when you get it, okay? All right.
any other comments, questions?
No.
Okay,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to comment on this item? All right. This is not a voting item, but thank you both for your presentation, and thank you for what you're doing out at the Sandhills Youth Complex. Casey, I'd leave it to you to wrap us up.
The next meeting date will be Thursday, August 28th, 2025 at 2:30 p.m. here in Council Chambers.
All right.
All right. I would move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Becky, seconded by Claire. Any further comments before we adjourn? Being none, please call the roll.
Beckius,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Gaylor Baird.
Yes. All right, we are adjourned.